I'm Matt with eTrailer, and today we're talking about the SeaSucker Roof Rack on top of our 2024 Hyundai Kona. Now this is a great option for you if you're really on the move a lot, maybe you're changing vehicles every now and then, or especially if you like to go traveling and you're using a lot of rental cars. If you want to be able to carry a lot more of your gear or your accessories or your luggage, putting it on top of your roof is going to be an ideal way of doing that. And what's nice about the SeaSucker is two things. One, it's really easy to take on and off your roof, and it's very universal. To really illustrate what I'm talking about with throwing gear or accessories up here, we threw a basket for the time being. And this is really nice because, like I said earlier, if you do have an excess of luggage that you can't fit in the back because maybe you're with a lot of people, you don't have a lot of storage, that's where this really goes to shine. Now it's also going to work with other gears like boxes or any other types of carriers like ski carriers or kayak carriers. You just got to make sure that they're compatible with this type of bar. And talking about that crossbar is, we're going to have a 60-inch crossbar on top of our Kona today, and it's going to be a round bar style. Now this will work with most accessories. Now keep in mind, if you have a T-channel on whatever you're hauling, it won't work on this because we don't have anywhere to mount to it. But most clamp-on accessories will be fine with this. And what's really neat about this too is you can actually break this down and store it in your vehicle really easy, but I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And the second part of this kit is going to be the SeaSuckers themselves. Now we're going to have two different styles. On the front side, we're going to have a double set of the SeaSuckers, and then both are going to be rounded. And the way these really attach is they're just going to suction down to the flat surface of your roof. Now if you have any ridges like we have right here, you won't be able to put it at that location because that's not going to be able to seal any of that air underneath here, and it won't give you a good hold. And that's what makes this a universal fit. If you have a smooth roof like we have now, this is going to fit your vehicle. And the backside is going to be a little bit different. So we can still use that same SeaSucker system, only this is going to be an oval shape. And this is really designed for those areas we have a lot of ridges and you need something a little bit more narrow. This is going to work fine with that. I can get a few measurements just to see what we're working with and how far this is going to stick up the top of your vehicle. Now there is going to be a height difference between the two, but it's only going to be an inch. So I'm going to measure from the tallest point, which is going to be our front crossbar. That's going to sit at 5 inches, which means the rear crossbar is going to sit at 4 inches. And that's not too bad. Now, what I'd recommend doing is, if you're in any really tight spots or low clearance areas, like a garage, just take the total height of your vehicle, plus your crossbars, and whatever you have on top of that, so you know if you can make it or not. As for the space underneath, the same thing's going to apply. There's going to be an inch difference between the front and rear. The front's going to be 4 inches, and the rear is going to be 3 inches. So 4 inches is plenty of space to really work with. And if you do have a sunroof on your Kona, that is something just to think about, because if you have some really bulky clamps that hang a little bit low underneath here and your sunroof expands up, they could make contact, but it's not going to be as likely, especially with the front one being higher. And I'm not going to get our crossbar spread today because these are going to be very adaptable bars. You can really move them up and down our roof. Now just be careful for some spots like going above your antenna, because you might run into some clearance issues there, or going too far forward on your roof because we do have a little bit of curvature to the front of our roof today. So we might not get the best fit there. So just try to find a good spot. As for the overhang, I'm not going to get that either because, like I said earlier, these are very changeable or universal mounts, so you can really bring these in a lot more if you need to. But what we have right now is plenty of overhang. The only thing I'd really worry about is if you were getting into your vehicle, you might bump your head on this if you're a little bit taller. Definitely watch out for that. But this is going to be more ideal if you have anything that's a little bit harder to reach on top of your roof. Anything like a rooftop bike rack, ski carriers, or even some kayak carriers too. And like I said earlier, these are really easy to take on and off your roof and easy to break down. all they have to do is pull on a tab on the back of it, do that on both sides, and you take it off. And if you need something that's going to be a little bit more, I guess, small or compact, you can actually tear this down just by unthreading it. It does take a little bit of a second or two, but when it's broken down, then you can open up the back of your vehicle and then just store these in it. To start off the installation, we're going to start with the front crossbars. Now the front and rear crossbars will be the same process. The suction cups are just going to look a little bit different. And right now I'm just holding one half of the crossbar and one set of the SeaSuckers. All you have to do at this point is you'll have this hole, and there's just going to be a clamp, and we're just going to put this into place just by pushing that crossbar through that opening. Now you also want to make sure that these buttons on your SeaSuckers are facing behind you, because the front part is going to be facing just like this. Once you have this in a pretty good spot, we can just tighten this down with an Allen key until it feels pretty tight. Keep in mind we might have to make some adjustments later on. Once you've done this to both sides, then we can connect them. And the way they're going to connect is you're going to have a threaded side that's going to go into our other side. And you can do this a number of ways. You can just set it down like this and rotate things into place. Now you might run into a situation like this where both of them aren't even. They're not going to sit flat on our roof. So what you can do is just pick a side and just loosen that one side up just a bit so we can just adjust how this sits. Once this is loosened up, I'm not going to tighten it quite yet. Instead, I'm going to put it on top of my roof. All right, with that loosened up, just going to lift up. And before you really put this on top of your roof, you want to make sure you clean off the top of your roof with some water and a towel. We've already done that since we got the back ones on there. But now I'm just going to roughly place it over here. And now both of them are sitting flat on our roof. I can tighten this clamp back down. Now this is roughly in place where we want it to be, but I recommend getting some measurements. The first measurement is just going to be that crossbar spread. Now to do this, I recommend having both of them up here, and then you can adjust from there. But we want to make sure that our crossbar spread is going to be able to work with whatever accessories we're hauling. So I'm just going to move this back a bit, because we also don't want to have this too far forward, because we have this curvature to the top of front of our vehicle, and we won't be able to get a really good flat surface suction to there. So that's something else to keep in mind. But once you have it into the location you want it to sit, that's going to work for your crossbar spread for your accessories, we can start squaring this off. What I recommend is just finding a certain point on your roof to measure from. Where I like to go is from this rubber strip up here, and then measuring to the side, because we don't want to be sitting on top of that or we won't get a good suction. I'm just going to measure to the side of this and then double check on my other side to make sure that's even. Once everything's squared off, we can start applying pressure to the top of this, and then I'm going to press this button too. And we're trying to make sure we get to the point where we can't see that orange indicator anymore. Once you get to that spot, you can do that same thing for the rest of them. And also again, we want to make sure that these buttons are facing behind us. Now, if you do have any issues trying to get this to suction down, what I recommend doing is just grabbing a spray bottle or putting a little bit of water on top of your roof and putting it around and underneath these suction cups, and that's going to help give you a better seal. When you're done using the suction cups, I recommend giving it a good shake test to make sure everything's sitting here properly. Now, something we noticed with using these, if we have these suction cups more towards the center, because that's the nice thing about these, they're very adaptable. You can pretty much place them wherever you want as long as you get that suction cup to activate, but we're getting a little bit of bowing on our roof, which this is still going to work just fine. I'm not a big fan of it, and if you're not either, then I recommend just shifting this over a little bit more to the edge right next to that rubber strip. Because if you look at our front crossbars, we're really not going to have that much of an issue. And that's just because this is just at a more sturdy point at the edge of our roof. But when you feel good about this, then you can load this up with whatever gear you want and take it out for a ride. But that's just a look at the SeaSucker Roof Rack on top of our 2024 Hyundai Kona. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.